I think it's in the best, interest of a first year to be allocated for raise for your first year at least. After your second year, maybe you can get out if you're not feeling it anymore. But for the first year, be there because you don't have to cook. There's things that are there's events that are forcing you to be social.
What did you want to be when you were in school?
Girl, I wanted law. I said law. In that application, you know how there's like first option, second? I said law, thank you very much. There was nothing else. I said law. That's all.
Nah.
But then, obviously I wasn't taken for that. Cooking for yourself takes up time. It does take up time, so you need to be a person that knows Uguti. I'm going to be doing schoolwork, but then that break.
You are watching the EduKnowledge Exchange podcast show, the place where we share, learn and engage with students, graduates and experts on their academic journeys. From personal challenges to inspiring success stories, we uncover the real experiences behind university and college life. Have you ever wondered what truly goes on in the minds of students and graduates? The struggles, the breakthroughs, the game-changing tips that can transform your academic journey? We bring you raw experiences, expert advice, and unfiltered conversations to help you navigate university life like a pro. Hit that subscribe button and let's dive into the ultimate knowledge exchange.
Welcome back to yet another episode of EduKnowledge Exchange. And today we've got our wonderful guest, Omihle from UCT. Hi, Mihle.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So just to go right straight into it, right? I want to know, Omihle, how did you grow up and where did you grow up and where do you come from?
So I'm Cape Townian, from Cape Town. I moved around a lot. So let's say I moved around between like Cape Town, like Central here in Brandwood Park, and West Coast.
Okay.
Central Cape Town and West Coast. So that's where I moved around a lot. So from age 1 to 5, raised by my grandmother in Eastern Cape. So I'm a granny. I'm a granny baby.
Granny baby.
And then from like 5 to 10, grew up Ekailicha. And then from 10 to 15, I'd say 15, 16, whoop to West Coast in Friedenberg. And then I would say from 15 to now, I think then we moved back to Central Cape Town, which was in Brandwood Park at the time. We've moved obviously now, but then at the time it was in Brandwood Park, yeah.
So now, with all of these places that you've moved around in, right? I mean, it's not really a lot, but I mean, you moved around. So what was school like? Did you also move? I mean, you obviously had to move around a lot. And how did you adjust to the new schools and and all of that?
I think because I'm very, my friends would beat me up if I said I'm anything but extroverted.
Okay.
So I think that made, also I'm a very respectful child. So I think that made moving around a lot easier because when you're respectful, I think elders and people around you in general, then they they gravitate towards I think making sure you're okay because you're giving them that energy as well. So I think first one was in Mitchell's Plain, Spineview Primary, I think.
Okay.
Yes, it was Spineview. And then I moved from there, we're going to Saldanha Primary. From Saldanha Primary, yep, that's like, so mind you, we stay in Friedenberg, but then I go to Saldanha, which is like a bit of a travel, but it's like 30 minutes, not that long. 30 minutes. So from Saldanha Primary, I go to VHS for 1 year, which is in Friedenberg. And then from there, we move back to Cape Town because now it's from 15, I think, to up, 15 years old up. We come back to Cape Town, Central Cape Town, and here I go to Epatel. Yeah, in Fulane. Yeah.
No. So sorry. You moving around all of these schools, are you able to like get time to join in sports? Cultural activities that are going around, are you able to join any of those things, or are you just coming to school to learn and then vamush gone?
Oh, I was a big sport girly. I did hurdles, I did netball, at some point I even did tennis and softball. There was a lot going on. But I think from when I moved to Epadale, which was, I think at this point it's the fourth school, fourth school, there that all ceased because we didn't have a lot. We didn't have sports. I was going to say a lot, but we didn't have. Now, they definitely have sports because the teachers just made sure that there was a soccer club, all these things. But then we didn't have any.
Nada.
So it only the cutoff point was PT, which was running around in the field doing, for marks, and that was just it.
Oh my God.
But I think when I got to, there was no sport. So I stopped playing any type of sport and that was from grade 9 to 12.
Man.
So, there was
so
no
you're
sport
not partaking
after that.
in any school things? There were no choirs?
Choir? Was there choir?
There
There was no choir also.
Like literally, so like there's no sports, there's no
sport.
cultural
There was no
activities
sport at the time.
Nothing.
There was no sport at the time. I think the one thing we can say it became a cultural type of thing was in grade 12, where it was a thing of now we're the RCL of the school and we're trying to do like money fundraisers and all these things, and I think that was the cultural aspect of what you could say the school had in terms of culture. So that was the activities that we could say we had, because that year I remember we had so many programs. We had on Fridays it was service day, but there was a theme to it, and those themes were so fun. And then we had a tuck shop running. It was all endeavors to just raise money, basically.
I see.
So I think that was the type of activity that happened.
So now you are in high school, right? And then what were you like? Are you... Because, I mean, you're moving around a lot during primary school, and then you get to high school, you are now settled, basically. How are you like? Are you... I don't want to ask if you're more settled, but are you less extroverted? Because, I mean, now you know the place, you know the people, you don't need to introduce, like, hi, my name is Miki again. You don't have to do all of that. You're with people that you know. How are you as a student or a learner in Bardale?
I think I'm not in everybody's business, but I'm extroverted if I know you. Like if I know you and you're coming up to me, we're gonna chat for days. But yeah, I think I love people. I'm a people person. I'm the type of extrovert that needs to recharge. Obviously, I need my space. After I've people too much, I need to go back to the drawing book and just re-energize. But I think I love people. I think the source of my extrovertedness is that I love people.
Oh, okay, I see. And now, because, you know, high school, primary, we're all like, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a policeman, I want to be this, I want to be that, you know, all of these things. And it's mainly all of these high-paying jobs that we want to go into. What did you want to be when you were in school?
Girl, I wanted law. I said law. In that application, you know how there's like first option, second? I said law, thank you very much. There was nothing else. I said law. That's all.
Nah.
But then, obviously I wasn't taken for that. But once that wasn't an option, I think I ended up receiving an email and it was like, but we can offer you this. And that offer ended up being a BSOC, which is a Bachelor of Social Science. And then you choose what you want to major in. I'm doing a triple major. I'm majoring in politics, philosophy, and historical studies.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what that became.
So now, you're applying at UCT, of course. They tell you that we can't take you for law. Can't take you for law, but we can give you something else, right?
Yeah.
And they give you the Bachelor of Social Science. Do you know what that, or at the time, did you know what it entails, what you would not be able, but what you were supposed to do, and what are the career options or like opportunities that are out there after you're done studying? Do you know all of this information, or what is going through your head as you're receiving or reading this email?
Nothing. I knew zero knowledge, because I think, like, also I'd say the pressure for ufunda is because kufundiwe ekhaya endlini, so there's an expectation there. But in terms of ezinto ezifundiweyo endlini, no one's doing this. There's okay, let's not mention the careers, but like, no, social by BSOC side, it was new territory. You do research, but I think even when you do research on these things, you never really know what the course, the degree entails until you're there.
Yeah, and
then I think once, with the UCT, when you get there, what they do is you go in, they create these classes. It's sort of like a career day, but now it's like a course type of thing, whereby you go into these classrooms and they're selling the course to you. So they're telling you what it entails, what it's about, what you should look forward to and expect. And with that, then that's how you get to be knowledgeable about the course, and that's how you choose. You get to choose. There's a variety of things. The degree is not set up for you. You set it up yourself. They just tell you the mandatory, the musts within the degree for this thing to serve or to suffice as a degree. They tell you have to do this many courses, and within that there has to be this many majors, and you have to do them for this amount of years. But besides that, you choose, and they tell you these are the courses and electives that you're allowed to choose within this humanity, course, within this humanity degree, and then you just choose whatever you attract, you connect with. Yeah.
You just spoke about choosing the course, right? Choosing in the sense of, okay, now I've been introduced to this course. Do I still want to stay? And do you get given the space or the option to actually change the course? For example, now you applied for Bachelor of Social Science, right? And then after that particular week, you decide that, hey, this is not what I want to do. Do you still have an option to go back to law? Or
if you were deemed not suffice at least your marks for a specific degree, and you basically got rejected for it, so you can't, there's no going back. It's either this degree. I have no knowledge of whether you can try another degree, because you didn't apply for that. You applied for this, and the only choice you get to have is what the specific degree is going to entail. So there's, besides the ones I've mentioned, I think there's religion, there's anthropology, there's sociology. There's different types of courses. That's the only thing you get to decide.
So basically you're saying that within the Bachelor of Social Science, you can just choose your majors.
Yeah.
Or choose to change your majors, is what you're saying.
That's the only freedom you get. You don't get to change the entire thing.
I thought hey, you go back. But now I want to take you back to your first year, right?
Yeah.
You are a student or a learner from Epadale. You applied for law, you were not taken for law, you were taken for Bachelor of Social Sciences, and you get to UCT. It's your first year in UCT. How is the transition between high school and university? Because in high school, your teachers know you by your name. They know how you are. They can call your parents now.
Everything is
and say, Umihle does not behave in class because this and this and this. Umihle's got these friends that are manas.
They run after you for...
Please submit those things.
Please hand me your assignment. Thank you very much.
I've been asking you for weeks. Please hand me your assignment, or else you will get a 0 at the end of the term.
Guys, teachers care so much. They would even go as far as to keep you after. They'll follow you depending on your schedule. Which class are you at? And I will wait for that class to end. When it's about to end, I'm standing at the door and making sure that you are not getting out of that class, and you're gonna give me something. You're gonna submit something. There's none of that here. You're moving into a space whereby it's your prerogative, it's your responsibility. If you don't do it, it's fine, you have free will. But that's another thing. Like high school, like university, like tertiary, it makes you think, it represents you, it shows you the free will that you have. But the real question is, can you exercise that free will? Because can you afford the consequences of exercising that free will?
Hey, man.
So I think that's the one thing about the transition. So you come into high school, like university. There's no parent here that's going to tell you A, B, C, and D. You have to be responsible. You have to have substance. By substance, I mean you have to know who you are. You have to have your nose. You have to know your nose and your yeses. You have to have things where you're like, I'm not doing that. That doesn't align with me. And that's very hard as a first year because you're still finding yourself.
Yeah,
but
true.
I think the important thing is that I think I had much easier because I just know the type of things that I'm not. I think I'm very. I know myself well enough to know clubbing is not my scene. Alcohol is available, but I don't want it. I don't feel the need to. When the day comes that I feel the need to, maybe I'll venture down that path, but I don't feel the need to. And even if you'll have people in your visit that are questioning you, like when you say you don't drink, you don't smoke, suddenly it's weird. What's going on? and it's like
It's a
for
varsity
them,
thing.
it's like an apocalypse type of thing where it's like it's a thing here. Why aren't you doing it? You're being weird. And I think you have to know yourself well enough to be like, if you're not feeling like doing certain things, then it's a no. And whatever the other entity says or judges or their opinions, it has to not matter. You have to know yourself well enough. That's the first thing. I think I would also say I had it easy because my family was in Cape Town. So if I get homesick, I'm calling, please come fetch me. In the afternoon by 5 a.m. after my mom comes out of work, she'll be at that gate, the car will be there, and I'll pack a bag and go home. So I think I had it easy also because of that. And then again, I went to a catered for res. I think it's in the best, interest of a first year to be at a catered for res for your first year at least. After your second year, maybe you can get out if you're not feeling it anymore. But for the first year, be there because you don't have to cook. There's things that are there's events that are forcing you to be social. There's events that you could, and the perk is that there's things that you get at those events. There's snacks, there's food, there's alcohol too, so be very careful with that. But like there's things that will force you to go there, and you're forced to be social, and you get to make friends if you're the type of person who wants to make friends. Whereas I'm staying at a catered res right now, and I'm doing my third year. I can go like the whole day without seeing people if I want to, because now you're in your own room, you're not sharing a room, you don't have to interact. So I think that for my first year, that was the best thing that I think could have happened, a catered for is because now I have to interact. I get to have people that are gonna help me with so much people. I can ask things. Yeah.
And it's quite interesting that you speak about a catered for res because not all universities have those
that.
kind of residents, right? But then when you applied for your resident, did it specifically say that this res is catered for, or did you also have to go and do research on the actual res and see if it was catered for, or are all reses at not all obviously, but are most of the residences in UCT catered for?
My memory does not serve me well in terms of like the application process, but I do think UCT kind of forces a lot of their first years to go to a catered for. Like that's the first option, and then when the catered fours fill up, then the only option is to then dump the others in a catered for. But I think they specifically cater for like there's different tiers in terms of residents, and these are types of like what do they I guess the tiers are for, are you catered, not catered for, are you a mix? But the point is first years have to go to a catered for res. In fact, I think second year, after the end of second year, they kick the second years out. Like there's a repicking of universities in a sense. Like this is my third year, and I'm at a res whereby it's not catered for. So I think a catered for is kicks you out after the second year because now you're deemed sufficient. Like your mind, the way you process things, you're functioning better. You have this thing down, this university thing down. So now you can afford to go live by yourself and be responsible for yourself without as much rules and restrictions, and you can cook for yourself.
But do you think and I like your opinion on this. Do you think that we ever get the hang of things in varsity in terms of assignments, exams, attending classes, and still having to come back and cook for yourself?
I think you get a hang of it. It's not easy because it requires you to be a type of person whereby you have to know what works for you and you have to know what doesn't work for you. So in the sense that if you know that at the end of your course requires you to write an exam at the end of the semester, it means you need to be responsible enough to go to class every single day. So I think you will never have it 100% down, but you can endeavor to try that 70%.
Yeah.
I think you can put in some effort to just set up a schedule for yourself and dare to follow that schedule just so it makes your life a lot easier, especially when you're cooking for yourself, because cooking for yourself takes up time. It does take up time, man. So you need to be a person that knows Uguti. I'm going to be doing schoolwork, but then that break, the one that we were using to chat and do nothing with, maybe go spend it doing some cooking. Yeah, but so that's how I structure my.
But as much as it takes up your time, it also takes up your energy. Let's be honest about that, because now you're going to finish cooking and then you still need to go back. And now, let's say you cook, you eat, you're full. When you're full, you feel like sleeping.
That is so real.
You feel like sleeping.
That it goes back to that thing of you have to know the type of person you are.
Yeah.
So you know that by the time I'm going home to go cook, I've done what I need to do for the day. Or at least I've gotten to a point whereby I know that it's not detrimental to myself to sleep. Yeah, but
I see.
It goes back to the thing, you have to learn the type of person you are so that you're able to schedule the way you function better. Yeah.
I hear you. But now, I want us to speak about your social life as a student, right? Because as much as we are seen as student numbers in universities...
Oh, and your statistics, you're nothing but a statistic.
Literally. Do you feel like it's important for a student to have a social life outside of their books? As in, like, you don't only go and socialize with people when you guys are studying.
You have to do something.
Or, you know, anything that has to do with school. Like, I'm talking about now going out and just having a social presence, basically. Not even a social presence on social media, but a social presence in society.
Real life, in society.
In society.
I think that's imperative. It's very important because you can't just be school. The thing is about school, it's very exhausting. But if you have an outlet, it makes it so much better.
Yeah.
So I think you have to have an outlet, and that outlet can be sports. It can be your social life in terms of like going out with friends. I think that's where I'm at right now too. Like, if I'm not chilling in my room and being lazy, doing whatever, if I'm not working, then I'm with my friends. And by third year, fourth year, I think you've pretty much, you're saturated. You found your people. And that's just it. So I think going out every now and then is very, very important. Just so you can have fun. And you know, remember that, okay, life is not omgowo. There's more to it than that. As much as it's necessary that you go through this, you know, blessing and suffering that school is, there's more to life than just this goal that we're constantly at and, you know, pursuing and all of that.
And just a quick question for interest's sake. How does your social life look like, and how do you juggle it with your academics? Like, does your social life, or rather, are your academics demanding that you literally need to have like some sort of schedule where you can say that, oh, now I'm not free, I can't do it. Oh, but I'll actually be free in like 2 months' time, you know, all of that. Do you have to plan outings like that? Or are you able to have like spontaneous moments where you're like, you know what, let's just go out now and everything is okay?
It's okay. I think life is a choice, hey? It's a choice, and I think that's where the choice and responsibility goes into play. I think every degree or course is demanding in its own way. Specifically for mine, I'm constantly reading and writing, and I just have to. I think there's a time and place for everything. So you know your deadlines. You know what the effort that's, you know, the effort that deadline is gonna need out of you. So I think you just work around that. Honestly, you can have spontaneous moments. Me and my friends surely do, but I think you work around that and you fit things in according to, you know, the way you work. I think it's all up to you, really. I'm gonna say, like, there's so much freedom, and it's all about just scheduling that freedom and seeing what you can fit into it. Yeah,
I see. But now I just want us to go back to you being in varsity. And so with what you do, right, are there any society clubs, I don't know, maybe let me just call them clubs for now, that you might be part of that kind of align with the course that you do? Or do you literally just go on campus, classes, and then come back to res, sleep, and you're done?
There are clubs, but I'm just not. Well, the one club that I have joined is like what is it called? it's more so it aligns with more like my interest in the environment. So we do gardening and all of that. I forgot what it's called because I've only been like twice this year. I've been to it like a couple of times, but I haven't joined any. There are definitely like clubs and that you can join. I think there's probably a politics, there's a Xhosa one, there's just for different things, all these things that they have a lot. There's even like sports clubs and all of that. So I think it depends on what you want to join, but I haven't necessarily had an interest in joining all of that.
You just said something that's really
I'm
interesting.
serious. There's a Zulu society. There's the society, yes, and then there's like a Xhosa like society. There's like if you're a person that kind of loves what are they called? What is it called? You love your Asian kind of like cuisine type of thing. There's a society for that too. There's dance societies. It's just different things. Like there's a lot that you can do if you want to be involved in societies. There's just a whole lot that like the UCT offers that you can go into, but you have to pay. There's a subscription fee also. So I think that's the one thing that holds you from doing everything, because that thing will go into your student portal. So you can't be doing everything. You have to choose. You have to pick your poison. Yeah.
Pick your poison. But like now going back to the one that you said that you're part of, you said you've got a love for environment, right? And how far does this love go in terms of the environment? Because you says it's all about gardening and all about this. Can you just elaborate on that, please?
Well, it's more of like, well, they do like gardening and recycling and all of that. I think that for me, a part of like that mostly came from just like my university experience, my high school experience, because when I was in high school, I can't remember what years. I think it was 2021. My geography teacher sir introduced us to this group which was the environmental monitoring group, and with that it was basically an environment that not only spread awareness about just like the environment and the importance of recycling and not polluting, but it was working with kids in these schools to just not only impart that knowledge on children, but also to have them involved within the act of planting trees and learning the importance of why we shouldn't why we shouldn't be polluting in the first place, and the damages and the repercussions of all that polluting and all of that. I think it came from that, and just the fulfillment that came with I think being not only a part of the group but then being an ambassador after going out of school. I think the fulfillment of that just I think it pushed me in a way. It made so much sense, I could say, in a sense, because now you get to kind of like continue the work that you were doing already from high school, but just I think at a different environment and scale, I think.
Now with this club that you're part of, environmental club, why do you think that the environmental monitoring group specifically identified your school as well as the surrounding schools, right, in your area? And why would you think that maybe let's say the school was in an area where there was a lot of pollution, maybe?
Yeah, because it was in Mfuleni. It was in Mfuleni. And one thing about Cape Town, I think we're the perfect, I think I was speaking to my friend yesterday and she was like, we're the perfect like picture and like epitome, if you could say, like, of environmental racism. Like you see it so well, it's so clear, like it's not hidden, it's very clear. Like services are not provided in your township as much as you would say they are in Mowbray even, or like Camps Bay, in these areas. You see a difference there. And I remember particularly right in front of our school in Mfuleni, there was you could see like a swamp, a dam in a sense, and like people were literally polluting into it. And mind you, we're speaking of a space that has horrendous drainage systems. So if it happens, there's like a heavy rainfall or whatever, the streets are going to be full of water, and then that's just what it's going to be for a very long time, because I think the municipalities don't necessarily, they're not at your beck and call if you're staying in an environment, if you're staying in a township or whatever. Services are kind of a maybe. They're not a must.
Should we?
It's more of like, should we? Do we feel like it? It's not. It's not. There's not like a schedule. Like in Friedenberg, we knew that on Tuesdays every single day at this time the truck is coming. It's coming to fetch your bin, so you need to drag it out and it needs to be on the street so they can get it. Whereas they come anytime, or they won't come for a month if it serves them well. Yeah, it's just that type of thing. And I think from there, and also in Fulani, I think it's a very business central type of place. So the main business that happens is braaiing. Like there's just braaiing left, right, and center. And I think you find that in situations like that, a lot of people are sick. And I think the MMG kind of like alerted us to all of those things as well. That polluting it's all fun and games until it's starting to impact, your health. And you find that like our life expectancy, when you look at life expectancy, when you compare times, let's say in our parents' generation and our generation, it's decreased by a lot. And it gets to a point where you start thinking, where are we going wrong? What's going on? And I think the MG kind of opened our eyes in that sense. Because if you're going to tell Umdu from the township about recycling and all of that, there's a language barrier there. Because what are you talking about? You're telling me now I mustn't do what I need to do to put food on the table. So I think what the MG did for us was it pointed out this concept, this huge concept that seems... This concept that seems so far-fetched and so huge, and it made it a reality that if you're going to continue going about this way, this is where it's going, and this is how it's impacting you, and this is the manner in which you can, be a pivotal part of just changing the way things are going. So I think that's what the MG did for us.
I'm thinking about what you're saying now. When people, because when there's pollution everywhere, it's the people who pollute, right?
Exactly.
But then at the same time, when you're speaking about some services not being provided or some service being seen as optional and all of that, I'm thinking now we also can't blame people in the township for polluting. Because what do you mean I'm going to sit with a bin for a whole month and it's not being collected? Where am I going to throw all of these things away? It's either going to be my yard or outside my yard.
Or I'm burning it up.
Literally, and either way, there's pollution happening. So it's not like you can always, because I've heard, with, I'm not going to say government officials, but it's just always people in high places saying, these people are doing it to themselves. These people are polluting. These people that, and at some point when you look at things, you can't always blame.
You can't always blame people. The community.
Because if services are not being rendered,
what
are they supposed to do? And I feel like, as much as recycling is something that they do to put money on their tables, recycling is not something that everyone has always known in the township. I think it's a new concept now, because you will see people at the robots collecting cans, collecting, bottles, and everything that is recyclable. But things weren't always like that.
I even think what pushed that... at a time before even like the climate became such a huge problem that it forced people to pay attention. Do you understand like the gravity of that it has to get to a point whereby you guys now I have to force you, the environment, the earth has to force you to pay attention. I think even with that, I think prior to it becoming such a big thing, recycling, even the people that were recycling, they were doing it because I know it's gonna come with some money. There's benefit within this, but I don't think they thought of of the concept or the whole thing of why it's good. Why am I? They didn't necessarily understand the whole why am I doing this? In what way is it important, or is it serving for the betterment of my own environment? I think it was more of a thing. It was more of, I am going to be able to gain from this, and if I take it to a scrapyard and I get money, and that's what it is. But I think now, in terms of awareness, I think now it's more, it's much better, and people have a better understanding of why it's so important, that it's so important that we take care of the environment in the same way that we expect it to take care of us. I think now there's a better understanding to it. But then it was like, what are you talking about?
But I think we need to give credit to artists, to artists and gardeners, because if you look, not so long ago, before people started actually collecting recyclable material to give to scrapyards, artists used to collect recycling to make art.
Yeah.
And gardeners used to take recyclable material to like create your pot plants and the vase kind of looking things.
I remember that.
And
even
then
the bottles with the water type
exactly,
of thing. Yeah, I remember that was a thing as well.
That's why I'm like, we need to give credit to those people, because had they not done that or shown us that I can actually take this bottle and turn it into this, then I don't think people would have seen the value of things that are used and the fact that they can be used again or reused and recycled and reformed and all of these things. So I think we just need to give props to those people. But so I just want to know, with going back to your school, you're doing one of the majors. Your majors is politics, and I'd like for you to give us a small summary or just a brief explanation of what you would deem politics as, because for us people, I'm not going to say us, but like for someone, a regular person who does not know what politics are and think that politics are just the ANC, the DA, if fighting against each other. I mean, that's politics. That's for some people, because social media gives us that, right? So can you please just give us a brief, or in your own words, what politics are?
Yes. I think for me, the way I've understood politics, I think it explains your reality. It explains that everything is a relation. I think for me, it made me see those incumbent, like those in office, like your politicians and all. It made me see them really for what they are, which is, the servants they're meant to serve the public. Even though, like, action-wise, it says the opposite. It contradicts the very, objective. But I think it made me see them as what they truly are, which are the servants of the people. They're for the people. They're supposed to be at least serving the people. And I think it also made it make sense in terms of like what goes into that. And I think the way in which they're able to serve us is via policies and the impact that those policies end up having. And I think politics also, it just explains. It explains how you cannot separate, the economy and politics. They're very intertwined. They affect each other so much, and you cannot speak about the one without speaking of the other. And I think depending on which politics you do, I think also politics does explain things in a much bigger scale. It makes you learn that it teaches you about multinational corporations and the evil and the good that those can do. It teaches you about how the World Trade System works. Obviously, you'd have to go into more depth. I think it goes into more depth when you're doing your postgrad and masters, but it gives you an informed idea of what's going. Like right now, I think the political sphere in the world right now, I think politics students had a ball. We had so much fun because you're understanding so much that is happening, like the relations between these countries and the conflicts and how and how those conflicts, what they watered down really too is like ideologies and just the politics and the gains that it kind of puts together these gains, the ideologies, the economy. Politics makes all of that make sense.
It's like when you're watching it all in reality, it just makes sense rather than just reading about it and like looking at all the theory work and all of that. I
like
see.
how especially with like Ukraine and Russia and just the drama with the US, closing itself in. I think politics had so much fun because you get to understand what's going on. And I think even with that, even though it's an outside sort of like problem, you understand that no country is an island. I think there's a saying like that.
Yeah.
Whatever happens there affects you, so now you have to pay attention. You can't just be like, that's none of my business. So I think politics does that. It interlinks things so well. Like, it makes these far-fetched ideas and concepts, and it just makes them a reality. It goes down to the price of bread, and it explains that for you, why you should care about world conflicts and how that affects you on your daily life. So I think that's politics for you.
But not forgetting your other majors as well. Can you please explain those two as well, so that I don't want to leave something uncovered?
So historical studies and philosophy. I feel like in your life, you have, I think history is so important. People, I feel like we don't give it as much prop as it needs. Or I think, let me start with the things it's taught me mostly. One, it's taught me what it took to get here, but also at the same time it made me view being, what is it called, being progress. Like, it made me view first world countries and developing, the whole concept of first developing countries and developed, it made me view it so differently, because I remember Prof was saying that you can't view the success of one country is low-key the looting of another. I think he said it much better, but that's how I interpreted it. That the success of one, you have to look at its success, and then you have to, as much as you can go, oh, it's a first world country, it's developed.
Who are they terrorizing?
You know? It's almost like the ones win is the others lost. So you have to view, development in that sense. And then it also taught me how, like, history repeats itself so much. And I think it is this saying that goes, if we don't pay attention to history, then we're doomed to repeat it. And I think history repeats itself so much. And I think we're at a point where now I feel we've seen enough repetitions that we can do better as a society. We've seen so much repetition of all this. And I think we're a lot more aware now of how Western countries have basically made African countries the mineral factory, the mineral factory houses, and I think that awareness comes with just finding a way forward and not just being, and not just being comfortable with just being the left behind bureaucracy, all of that.
But have you seen how the generations before us have put so much hope in Amatuke? It's like,
mind you, Amatuke, they don't want anything political. You ask them, what do you think of the political state of the country? What do you think? And they're like, whoa.
But also, if you check, we've got that, I don't want to say that 2%, but we've got that minority that is in politics and that actually cares, yes. And they're like, we actually want to make a difference. And I feel like day by day that number is growing. And I literally have hope. I have hope that it's growing. And my thing is, are we capable enough? Are we disciplined enough to actually bring onto the change that we could or we have the potential to bring? Because, what I've seen with our generation is that as much as we've got the potential to bring in change, that's literally all we have.
Potential.
Because, Tina, we have potential, but we've got all these things like alcohol.
We're not willing to pay the price.
Literally.
We're not willing to pay
Tina,
the price.
we will drink alcohol because tomorrow I can wing it. I can wing this test. We wing a lot of things.
We wing a lot of
things. And it worries me because my thing is, are we disciplined enough to bring on the revolutionary
that is
needed,
that the world state is calling for right now.
So I'm as much as I'm glad that we're paying attention,
and there's awareness
and there's
a lot more.
Yes, and there's like a lot of will, right, for us to do good and all of that and to change the world. But it's like, are we disciplined enough? Are we going to see it through to the end? That is my biggest worry. Like, are we going to see what we are trying to do through to the end? Are we going to be disciplined enough to stick to what we to what we believe
The
in,
objectives and
because
the plan.
you know, like I feel like we're distracted a lot, man. You know,
I think I've seen a lot with a lot of the violence that's been happening right now in terms of like gender-based violence and all that. We pick and choose which issues we want to attend to, and that's gonna be our downfall. I feel we pick and choose, and also I think what it boils down to is the danger is that the things that we normalize, we don't realize the power we have, in the sense that as much as we have willpower, we're also setting the standard within community. By setting the standard, I mean that the things that are tolerable and become a norm in society, it's the things we don't call out in the first instance. It's the things we normalize. That's why now you find that the traumatizing of a 7-year-old is possible, and then we rile up for it for a while, and then it dies. It dies out, and then now the government doesn't feel the need to kind of like answer to that. I think we don't hold them accountable enough. We hold them accountable when we pick and choose. Hold them accountable when it serves us. It's like with things like that, you have to see it through the end, because now you're normalizing things that shouldn't be normalized.
I think one way to sum all of this up, right, is that quote that says, "You treat people the way that you want them to treat you." So I think, Tina, what we've done is we've gotten the government so we've always held them accountable when the thing is heated, when we are
in the spur of a moment,
you know, and then after that we don't follow through with it. We don't follow through with it. The moment we see, okay, on social media it's no longer a thing.
But the issue is gonna be a thing. As much as it's no longer a thing in, your socials, it's gonna be a thing within the community, because what you've done is you've normalized it.
Yeah.
You've said it's okay to not punish such an act. So now the people doing these acts are going. You're perpetuating it in a sense, because you're giving it a thumbs up. As much as your physical representation is like no, we shouldn't opinion. You've given it a type of thumbs up, and that's my issue. Like, we have so much potential, but it's like, are we willing to pay the price? It goes back to that.
Hey man, but not sorry not to cut you. But I want us to go into philosophy.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes.
What is that about?
When I lay you, oh my gosh, I feel like I have a love and hate relationship with philosophy, because it's very much, philosophy is like I'll give you a problem. Let's run around in circles. It's food for thought, and then run around in circles. We'll come up with ideas that certain writers have come up with. We'll tell you what they've said, and I'll give you contrasting viewpoints. You have to think for yourself, obviously, and you see which one do you support, and why do you go with it, and have their theories been, have they substantiated them well enough? But then in this circle, you have to be comfortable with the unknown. You have to be comfortable with the fact that after all that circling, you still won't have an answer. And that's what philosophy is. But I think it's important because it forces you to just use your bones. Like, you have to.
But it's giving debate. It's giving debate. Let me explain.
It's giving debate that does not have an answer.
Yeah.
There's no answer here. The point is that we understand. The point is just to evaluate what is, and to see if there's any, and critique those that exist, and to see if there's any possibility of savaging or saving that theory. But at the end, the point is you're gonna run around in circles, and at the end of the day, you're not gonna have an answer.
But you know why I say for me it seems like debate. It's because with debate you're given a topic, right? And there are those that are for and against, right? We'll go at each other for a while, and the reason why there is a solution is because there are judges who are actually saying, okay, you brought in stronger points than that. So the team that is for wins this round, for example, right? And then they give us another one. Same thing goes on and on and on. But then the difference with debate and philosophy, from what you've just explained to me and according to my understanding, is that there is no judge in philosophy.
There is no winning, but I think it's important because it gives you tools that you need to just process the way things are. I think that's the biggest thing it can give you. It gives you critical thinking, in the sense that now you're able to see whether I think one of the ones was, okay, let me give you, okay, I feel like we're giving people the theory, not giving them the actual gist.
Okay.
So one of the topics we were doing was about rights. Now we know, so there was Brennan and I think the other was Kukata, if I'm not mistaken, the writers. So the argument was that the one side was arguing that if the right to vote is the right of all rights.
Yes.
But then the other is like, he doesn't think that everyone should be able to vote, because what happens is, as much as we all in this room have a right to vote and its respectives, when it comes to the outcome after we voted, it affects everyone. So what he's fighting for is that we should annihilate or cancel universal suffrage, which is me suffering, the outcomes of a decision that you made, and you made in an unformed manner. So basically, the whole analogy was that I think it was Brennan thought that the people that should be able to vote are people that are knowledgeable. But now, how do we determine knowledgeable
Who's
people?
knowledgeable?
What's the criteria that we're utilizing?
Man.
But then I think Kokata was like, if you're gonna go by that matrix and you're gonna use knowledgeable people and use tests to determine who's knowledgeable, it goes back to the thing of you forget that we have social problems where it's like people come from different walks of life and they've had different backgrounds. So now it's sort of giving, now you're benefiting a class only, because those are the only people who have had encounters and fortunate enough to be able to interact with, politics and government and all of that. And I think Kokata was like, we cannot use that analogy, Brennan, because now you're creating a situation whereby
there's discrimination.
Not only is there discrimination, but if you're going to cancel the simple right, it opens the doorway to cancel other right. It opens the doorway to negotiate other rights that shouldn't be negotiated.
Which is discrimination, as I've mentioned. Right, so... Man.
So do you see, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, because now you see this analogy and it's like, he's making sense, but no, man, he's also making sense. So what now?
I see.
I think it helps the way you think. It tests the way you think. There's even another one. What was that one? Multiculturalism. And that one was speaking about basically immigration and all of that and all of those things. It's like the argument was mainly about as much as you have a right to get out of your country because it's not serving you the way you it goes back to the thing of being advanced, having what is it called, geographical lack. Basically, you grew up in a place whereby you're not abused, you're not killed out of nowhere, you're not being treated like slaves for mining and minerals and all of these things. So as much as you have a right as the person who's suffering in this country to get out, the other country also has a right to reject you. That was the argument. Is the other country, do they have a right to be rejecting people that, need
refuge?
That need refuge? Do they have, is it okay? It's all about, what is it called? I forgot the word. Value-wise, is it okay? Basically, I forgot for the lack of a better word. Is it okay to be to be rejecting someone that needs assistance? But then it trickles down to all of those things where it's like,
But if I take them, how does it also impact me?
How does it impact? I already have my own people to take care. I already have my own citizens that I have to take care of, and now you're giving me extra people that I need to. So it goes into it's very interesting in terms of it. It weighs on the way you think, and it changes your mindset so much. So I think that's the gain from philosophy, that you're able to take away from it.
But now, just to close off, right? One final question. 5 years from now, where do you see yourself? In terms of life in general, are you still going to be in academics? Are you still going to be an academic warrior? Are you going to be in the professional field, life, doing... Or what does life look like 5 years from now for you?
5 years from now, it definitely looks... It's giving school, it's giving go still. Because as much as I can't wait to finish this, I know that there's other degrees that I also want. I feel like, you know, that thing whereby you don't have a specific niche and talent. So now you have little bits of everything. So now you want to do a lot. So I definitely want to do a lot. In another life, I want to be a teacher. In another life, I want to do like culture and theater. In another life, I want to do law. So I'm definitely still going to be in school.
So if you could rewrite your academic journey, right, from your first year up until now, up until this moment, with everything that you've experienced, and you are the director of the movie, you're supposed to name this movie.
Yeah.
What would you name it? Name the movie of your academic journey.
Naming it is, I don't think I have a specific name, but I think I'd say it's going the way it should be. I think that's
how it should go.
How it should be, how it's intended. Because I think for me, had I gotten law too fast, I wouldn't have been able to have the knowledge that I know within myself that I have right now. I think being able to interact with the courses that I've been able to interact with, it's given me knowledge that I wouldn't have had I gone in directly into what I thought I needed at the time. So I think now if I'm gonna end up doing teaching or law, I think I'm gonna have a lot more substance to me because of, you know, where I started and what I'm currently doing right now. So I think I wouldn't change it, because that would mean I need to trade now the substance and the substance that I have right now.
For the
I
unknown.
have a lot of substance right now.
Yeah.
And I think had I gone directly, that wouldn't have been the case.
Man,
Definitely.
I hear you. Well, firstly, thank you very much for honoring the invite and being our guest today. It was really appreciated. And we've heard it from our very own politics students, right? If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and please do press the notification button for more of our videos. Thank you. That is it from us today. Bye.